All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. And as you see, the title says, they were given power. How much more the elect, right? And the they I'm speaking about are ultimately the creatures of the earth, man. When you take a look at the animal, how Bashim Shai is equipped, the animals with the necessary skills, tools, and abilities in order to thrive within whatever environment they're in. Here it is, they're battling forces such as nature, they're battling predators, so forth and so on. So how much more will he give unto his elect men, right? I want to start off here at the book of Isaiah, the 41st chapter, and I'm going to, start at 10. Isaiah 41 and 10. It says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power." Right? Because we understand, according to the book of Daniel 12, we're entering the time of great heaviness, of great sorrow, of great lamentation, mourning, and woe. Right? So as Daniel 12 and 1 states, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in a book." So we're about to enter into a time of great persecution, where all odds of the world will be against us, but all odds in the spirit, will be on our behalf, man. But it just lets you know the severity of what's about to occur, right? So I have a couple videos that I want to show, and they're basically the superpowers of of the animal kingdom, right? So Lord will, fair use, as you see here. This animal right here is called a mantis shrimp, right? And as you see, that's actually real. It's underwater, of course, but it creates a blast within its strike that they say is hotter than the surface of the sun. Now, we know Esau, he's wiser than Daniel, but we also understand that he'll exaggerate things. But nevertheless, this is a light created underwater, man, by the force of a shrimp, right? So however hot it really is, this shrimp can also punch underwater and break glass, right? So let's get into it. Camouflage, right? Right now, that bombardier beetle is the spirit. I was talking to the brother Shapal about it. Now, this insect, it shoots acid. It's like a boiling hot acid out of its abdomen, man. Right? Ultimately, literally frying um its predators with chemicals, man. But itself is resistant. It doesn't get harmed by that same acid, boiling acid that it shoots out of its abdomen, man. So the Lord created the purpose of this beetle to have this gift, to have this superpower, so to speak, man. So it equipped this animal, or it's like, so Yahweh Shai equipped this animal, this beast, this insect, with the tool for it to have the ability to survive and sustain, man. Right? So how much more us? Right? We understand we're coming into a time of Jacob's trouble, and now we're going to need that help. Right? So I'm going to play this and I'm going to grab another precept. Right? That's what they call the immortal jellyfish. They say it reverses its age. Once it gets to a certain age, it goes back into its youth. It doesn't die. Right? Those are just a few of the wonders in which the Lord has created, and gave the power into the beast, into the animals of the earth, right? It's coming from the book of matter of fact, I was reading, right here, verse 10 says, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the hand of my righteousness. Because we understand is men upon the earth. And right now we don't have, those special abilities in terms of, being able to shoot fire out of our hands, and but we were given something greater, which was ultimately the spirit of Yahweh Shai Shai. And with that comes divine protection. With that comes spiritual power. With that comes a name, that's everlasting in good standing with Yahweh Shai, right? And us being servants of Yahweh Shai, understanding what we're about to face against, the Lord is going to equip us with power, man, right? And the scriptures speak about this power, right? But in that power comes protection, and that's the point, right? Because those animals' only defense are what the Lord gave them, right? They're still subject to, be eaten of predators and things of such as we are. But the difference is, as a matter of fact, I gotta grab this precept. 1 second. It says, "Are ye not much more than they?" It's in the book of Matthew 6. Right? This Matthew 6. And I'll start here at verse, I'm going to get to the point, 31. It says, "Take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of these things," right? Yahweh Shai is going to know that we're going to be in these straight positions, straight in a sense of path of difficulty, man. Right? So he knows that divine protection is needed. Right? When he put King David in the midst of armies, right? And the times in which, King David was surrounded, and he knew that was going to be the exact position that he put King David in. But what did he do in that situation? Yahweh Shai always came in the clutch, and he delivered King David from in the midst of his enemies. And with this being the greatest salvation that's ever going to be established, right? We understand that you have the flood in which 8 souls were saved, right? You have Lot being saved from Sodom and Gomorrah, being taken out of the city, right? But then you have the Egyptian Exodus, right? In which, we left. The 10 plagues fell upon the Egyptians, the dead of the firstborn, right? Which that Exodus was great. This Exodus is going to trump the past. So the salvation is going to trump it. The spiritual power is going to trump it, man. Right? So we have a lot to behold. Miracles have to increase. Right? This is the last time Satan is ever going to be able to buffet or mess with us. This is the last time he is going to ever be able to persecute us. So this is also, the Lord is going to take a stand, and he's going to use forth his men. Right? We always speak about that standard, and Lord will, I'll get into that later, but let me grab this one. Finish it out. Matthew 6 and 33. It's like it's 32. "For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things," right? He knows we need food, raiment, shelter, right? And in a time of great persecution and Esau coming upon us, and he knows we're going to need divine protection, right? Which means power has to be present. It's coming from the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter. And here we go. In 19, it says, "So shall they fear the name of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai shall lift up a standard against him." Right? Let's look up, shall lift up a standard, H5127. It says, shall lift up a standard to take flight, to put to flight, right? To cause to disappear or hide, to fly, to take flight, right? And these are ultimately ways in which Yahweh Shai can deliver you, from that situation, man. He can give you the power of flight, in the midst of when, he come down on us, man, right? He's going to have brothers escape. Hey, in the time of when the apostles were locked up, did he not cause an earthquake, to occur to where the doors opened, right? So forth and so on. Hey, there's infinite ways of Yahweh Shai to deliver us out of the hands of our enemies, man. Right? It says to fly to the attack on horseback. It says to take flight, to put to flight. That's fighting, right? Whatever power the Lord gives you in that moment, He can give you the power as He gave that beetle to be able to shoot forth, toxins or chemicals. Right? I'm gonna go back to it. To shoot forth toxins, out of your hands, man. He can give you some powers like Avatar, where you're controlling the elements, man. Right? The Lord is. 1 second. Right? He can give you this right here. That's nothing. Right? That's a small work unto Yahweh Shema Shah. Says he can cause to disappear. Matter of fact, I want to show brothers because it's watching that clip don't do it justice. Right? It's something called a cuttlefish. Right? Which in my opinion, out of all the animals that have the gift of camouflage, I believe the cuttlefish is the top. Yeah, that's just my opinion. A chameleon is one thing, but the cuttlefish is far superior in terms of in terms of the power that the Lord gave it. Right? 1 second, I'm trying to find a good video. Because it does more than just change, colors, man. That's light work into what a cuttlefish actually does. Matter of fact, here we go. I'm just play this short, Lord will, it got enough in it. Right? So it has the gift of camouflage, but it does far more. It'll actually change shapes, man. Right? So here we go.
Cuttlefish can change both the color and pattern of their skin to blend seamlessly with their surroundings and communicate. Cuttlefish can change.
Man. Come on, man.
Cuttlefish can change.
Do no type of justice. So like you. Here we go. Hopefully you speak on it.
Animal on Earth. First off, they're poisonous. I'm pretty sure that the cuttlefish has more abilities than any animal on Earth. First off, they're poisonous, and their poison is as potent as the venom of a blue-ringed octopus, the most dangerous octopus in the world. Not to mention, their poison contains an unidentified compound, so scientists can't even make an antidote. They also have special eyes that can see for 2 miles in every direction, all at once. You can't even sneak up on them from 2 miles away. They can also camouflage like an octopus. They could change their color. But not only can they change their color, they could change their texture. So it's like a chameleon, but better. And they could flash their camouflage over their skin, which can induce hypnosis on their prey. They can hypnotize their prey. This has to be lab created. I'm pretty sure.
See, they don't show it actually changing.
Octopus. Right? I'm pretty sure
mimic, that if it's being chased by a certain fish, it'll mimic the movements of an eel. It'll mimic a crab's body structure. It actually is. It's a crazy gift, man. Ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shah gave this animal. But as great as this animal is, the prophets are seen in a better light in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Right? And that's the point, right? We don't have the ability to quote unquote camouflage, in the grass or whatever the case may be. But the Lord is going to give forth, these gifts and powers unto his men. And that's the whole point of this lesson. They were given power. How much more the elect? Matter of fact, I'm gonna try to. I'm about to get back into these precepts. I was in Psalms. Here we go. It's like I was in Isaiah 41. Right? This Isaiah 41 and 12. It's like 11. It says, "Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish." Right? And that's ultimately the fate unto those that try to put their hands on those little ones, man. Yahweh Shema Shai, he has smoke, so to speak. They speak it in our language, right? and how Jake speak. And he got smoke for whoever got smoke with his men, right? 13, for I, the Lord, thy power will hold thy right hand. And it's beautiful because the right hand of Yahweh is Yahweh Shai, right? And the right hand is a greater power than the left. Saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. And we're going to get help from above, man. This is the point the point that I really want to drive in. Isaiah 41 and 14. Fear not, thou worm Jacob. Right? We understand that a worm is a creature that's defenseless. You know, a worm can only be protected the deeper it goes into the ground, because the moment it's exposed into the air, you have birds, you have frogs, to the point where a person will pick it up, put it on a hook. Now you got fish, right? So it's prey unto everything, the element itself. A worm caught in the sun is going to dry up. A worm in the snow is going to freeze and die, right? So the worm's protection is ultimately to just get deeper within the roots, get deeper within the ground. And that's our duty, to get deeper within the wisdom and spirit of Yahweh Shai Shai, to be protected from these said troubles, right? And understanding the life of a worm, I'll say a caterpillar, right? Better, right? Because what happens is it ultimately, hides because it understands that it's a prey, to the point where it gets in that chrysalis, right? It gets in that cocoon to then emerge, right, into a creature that can now escape, that's now beautified, that's now adorned. And that's the position in which the elect men, are going to be in. We're going to be adorned through the process of what? Of going into that chrysalis, of getting deep within the wisdom and spirit of Yahweh Shai, man. So it says, thou worm Jacob and ye men of Israel, I will help thee. This is a promise. And the Lord is not a man that he shall lie. Saith Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, thy Redeemer. To be redeemed is to be what? It's to have what? Salvation. It's to be taken up. That's where the real redemption happens, right? When we're taken up out of, Babylon the Great, and they're amazed at the strangeness of our salvation. This is Isaiah 41 and 15. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Matter of fact, I'm going to finish this in the KJV, going to the NLT. It says, thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make shall make the hills as chaff. And we understand these mountains are governments. And when Yahweh Shai turns his men up unto the level that they had, when the world was being created, right? And the blueprint was given from Yahweh unto the Elohim, there's going to be no competition of individuals that can fight against you. What can he do unto one that's immortal? Right? That's an impossible battle or feat for him to accomplish. There's Isaiah 41 and 15. It says, you will be a new threshing instrument with many sharp teeth. You will tear your enemies apart, making chaff of mountains, man. That's a promise. Tearing your enemies apart. When we go into the book of Ezekiel 25 and 12, and it says, and I will give vengeance unto Edom by the way of my people, who? Israel. So it's nothing for us to worry about, man. Yeah, we're worms right now. We're worms doing the fishing for the elect. But Yahweh Shai is going to turn those worms that are fishing into hunters for his purpose of threshing. Right? So it says, behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument. This word threshing, H41, 37. It's like H41, 73. It says threshing sledge. It says a threshing instrument. Let's see if it's more. Threshing rollers. Let's go into this word threshing. It says threshing, the process of separating grain from corn or other crops. And in a war sense, is separating the men of those troops from battle, man. Yeah, I'd be salty with it, but that's what it is. Matter of fact, I want to go into some more of these words. It says, I will make thee a new, make thee a new sharp threshing instrument. Right? Here go. This was for the word. It's like a double check. For the word, I will make thee. H7760. It says Sham. No, that's not Sham. Sham is name. It says Sha'um, which we know is not no U character, right? The O in the Hebrew or the Paleo is I, right? So this is Sha. This is Shai or Sha. Sha. This is. Yeah, look, 1 second. Let me double check. Got to get it right, man. One second. All right. That is I believe that's a wa. Yeah, Shawaim. I believe it's how. Or Sha. Yeah. Shawam. Shawam. Maybe Shawam. Nevertheless, it says to put, to lay aside, to lay violent hands on. Hey, to lay violent hands on, man. Hey, just the way it's said is funny, but this is what's gonna happen. Hey, for example, the elites that have their bunkers, hey, well, the elect men have to snatch them out, right? So violent hands is gonna be laid upon the enemies of the nation of Israel, man. And the Lord is gonna allow his men to lay them hands on them or to tread them down, right? Let's go back, get all the meat off this bone, man. It says, I'll make thee a new sharp threshing instrument. Let's see, new, sting, fresh, right? Ultimately giving us back that power that we once had. It says sharp, pointed, diligent, strict. It says threshing again, threshing sledge having teeth, right? Pointed things, sharp things. It says having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, small, and shall make the hills as chaff. Right. So as we read it again in the NLT, it says you will be a new threshing instrument with many sharp teeth. You will tear your enemies apart, making chaff of mountains. You will toss them into the air, and the wind will blow them all away. A whirlwind will scatter them. Then you will rejoice in the Lord Yahweh. You will glory in the Holy One of Israel. So the power is coming, brothers. The power is coming. Right? And that's the point. This is Psalms 33 and 20. It says, our soul waiteth for Yahweh. He is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. It reminds me of the Green Lantern. Right? If you were into those comics of DC. But basically, the Green Lantern, it has to charge their ring. And their power is will, right? Willpower, right? But without that source, they get weaker and weaker to where their ultimately their light dims. But we understand that closer we get into Yahweh Shema Shai, our light increases, our shield becomes bigger. Our help, is more what's the word? Our help is there, man. Right? I'm about to grab this precept too. Psalms 18 and 33, it says, He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon high places. Right? And that in itself, hey, that's going to physically happen. Yahweh Shema Shai are going to give a man the power, right? As it says here, he makes me as a sure-footed as a deer, in enabling me to stand on mountain heights. That's a spirit that it says that I have a video. Just thinking about it. Because this is a power, man. This is dealing with balance. It's dealing with strength. This animal is called the Ebu. It's spelled Ibex, but it is pronounced Ebu. But they're mountain goats, man. And I just want to play this video of an Ebu just to show brothers how they really get down, man. Right? Because there's a power ultimately Yahweh Shema Shai gave these animals to be able to climb at the capacity in which they do. Here we go.
mountain goat, and it's climbing this unbelievably steep mountainside. Now, while you might think this looks crazy and bizarre, this weird skill is actually possible because of their hooves. You see, the outside is a hard structure that allows them to dig into almost invisible ledges, and the inside is made of a soft rubbery padding that shapes to the mountain's surface like climbing shoes. This skill helps them reach food sources that aren't available otherwise, reducing competition from other animals.
Right. So part of the food that they're getting access to eat, like salt, they're licking salt because
We all do it. You see a line and wonder, should I join it? Even crazier is that folks stick with insurance that keeps them waiting around to find a claim, while Geico's claims are always available day or night. What are you waiting for?
The mineral
No one
shooting jet, man.
knows.
It feels good to step out of
Right,
line.
it's-
It feels good to Geico.
Basically inside the crust or the crevices of mountains, right? Just to show brothers some footage. Right? It's beautiful, man. So what happens when the Lord give brothers power to scale buildings, right? We in the what's that? The first Superman, it's like the first Spider-Man. You seen what? You seen him start scaling the side of that brick wall. He had the hairs grow on his hands, and he started scaling the side of the brick wall. Well, hey, it's nothing for in the time of trouble when Esau comes down, for the Lord, to give you some speed, and then you able to just climb up out of somewhere, man. It sounds to the unbelieving, it sounds impossible, right? But to those who actually believe, we understand that nothing is impossible with Yahweh Shemel Shai. So going back to Psalms 18 and 33, it says, he makes me as sure-footed as a deer, enabling me to stand on mountain heights, right? And that's what you're seeing with that goat right there, that Ibu. It says he trains my hands for battle. He strengthens my arm to draw a bronze bow. You have given me your shield of victory. Your right hand supports me. Your help has made me great. You have made a wide path for my feet to keep them from slipping. I chased my enemies and caught them. I did not stop until they were conquered. I struck them down so they could not get up. They fell beneath my feet. You have armed me with strength for the battle. You have subdued my enemies under my feet. You placed my foot on their necks. I have destroyed all who hated me. And that's through Yahweh Shemel Shai we get that victory, man. Right? And that power is going to come unto those in whom trust in him. It says they called for help, but no one came to their rescue. They even cried to the Lord, but he refused to answer. Because ultimately for the 2/3, they're not going to receive that protection, man. When we go into the book of Sirach 40, and it speaks about all the plagues and troubles, it says, unto the sinners these things were created, for the evil, right? It says, I ground them as fine as dust in the wind. I swept them into the gutter like dirt. You gave me victory over my accusers, and we understand the accuser of thy brethren is who? Esau, Edom. You appointed me ruler over nations. People I don't know now serve me. And that's what's going to happen. These same individuals who once, were kings or servants upon horses are going to be the servants upon earth again, man. Because we're the princes as walking as servants upon the earth, right? And you have a servant upon a horse, basically in that position of power. The roles are going to flip, right? Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to give his men power. He's going to give us power, man. So let's go back here in the KJV. Say, he maketh my feet like hinds feet. So we read that. We read down into like 43. But that was the point. I'm going to grab another precept. I read Isaiah 41. I read Psalm 33. This is Psalms 144. It It says, blessed be the Lord my strength, Yahweh, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. My goodness and my fortress, my high tower, and my deliverer. It's in his name, Yahweh Shai. He is the deliverer. My shield and he in whom I trust, who subdueth my people under me. Right? So as we look at, the creation, man, understand that the Lord is going to equip us far more. Right? Hey, look at how, King David and his mighty men were taking out thousands of men in battle. It has to be spiritual power. Hey, Jake, hey, for brothers that may be in arts, jiu-jitsu and things like that, hey, here it is, you roll for 5 minutes. Hey, you see people in the gym, they'll be just, their lungs are shot, man, to the point where 5 minutes is a long time to fight, wrestle. Nevertheless, after that 5 minutes, hey, you start breathing hard. People go and get water. Here it is, Jacob. Did he not wrestle the angel for a blessing to the point where his hip was popped out? Right. So how long did that take? Right. We have no strength. These bodies are weak. They're feeble. These chains of darkness. Hey, but the Lord is going to allow power to dwell in them for the purpose of escaping, and for your faith to be increased as well. Right. Matter of fact, let's see. Grab another power, man. I want to see him in action. Let's see. You got spiders that jump high. The ant in itself, right, being able to lift however much times his body weight. There you go. This is a video. They're going to show a video called of a basilisk lizard. All right, I'm going to go to that point. Here we go right here. Baby, let's get it. Fair use. I'm going to say it again. Now, you see this Caesar Borgia, man. Hey, and was walking on water, right?
In common? No, it's not one of those offensive religious jokes. The only similarity between the two is that both of them can walk on water. In fact, the basilisk lizard is even called the Jesus lizard at times. Their long toes have sort of fringes of skin between them. It sounds like a gross deformity, but this feature allows them to rapidly slap their feet against the water without breaking the surface. These rapid slaps create air pockets and keep them afloat. You might find these little reptiles near water since they like to stay around water in case a predator happens to walk. Despite all this, we don't think these lizards can turn water into wine.
He's gonna throw his corny shit in there. But nevertheless, man, what you've seen is a lizard that has the ability to walk on water. And Yahweh Shemel Shah created it with that purpose to be able to escape. Right? It reminds me of that movie, The Incredibles, man. You had Dash, which was the son. He was running on water to escape that robot that was trying to basically that was being controlled to take him out, man. Well, in that day, man, these are powers that he gave to animals, right? That he gave to the creatures who are far less than his men who are delivering his word, right? This is Matthew 6. One second. Are you not much? Where is it? Yeah, right here. 6:25. It says, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, right? The birds aren't cultivating, and dealing with husbandry, right? It says, for they sow not, neither do they reap, right? They're not gathering the crops. They're not bringing them into barns, as it says. Neither do they reap nor gather into barns. Yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? So it's the same for these animals that I'm showing, right? Are we not better than them? Are we not Israelites? Are we not princes of the power? So as everything has, as Yahweh Shemashai gave these creatures a way, a supernatural way to escape, or to flee, or to fight, wherever the case is. Hey, are we not better than them? So the type of powers that Yahweh Shemashai is going to allow us to inhabit is going to be out of this world, man. It's going to be out of this world. Yeah, and it's going to be the purpose of sending forth back those prayers, in honor unto him, because we understand where our strength comes from. It's not from our own power. We're nothing. It's from him. Matter of fact, I think I read it. It's like it. In Psalms 144 at the top, it says, "Blessed be the Lord, power of my strength, Yahweh, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. My goodness and my fortress, my high tower and my deliverer, my shield, and he in whom I trust, who subdueth my people under me." Matter of fact, let's see what other animals they got on this thing. Because I'm going to grab another precept, Isaiah the 40th chapter. Oops, sorry. Dragon, millipede, pistol shrimp. This was the shrimp I was talking about. Well, this is one of this isn't the shrimp I was talking about. I was speaking of the mantis shrimp, but the pistol shrimp, it has a similar quality as far as it being able to pack a punch, man. The Leary bird, mimic. Oh, here we go. I want to show brothers day. It's not a mimic octopus, it's a cuttlefish. They call it a mimic octopus, but it is really a cuttlefish.
Ever since Mystic showed up in the X-Men universe, everyone knew who the coolest girl on the block was. Well, the mimic octopus is sort of that girl underwater. Being one of the smartest cephalopods means you can outsmart your predators with ease. These 8-legged friends have color-changing organs called chromophores that act together to reflect the cells in a way to produce a body pattern that matches the surrounding. It's not just about the colors. It's also about matching their skin texture and body position to appear something they're completely not. They can mimic animals, plants, algae, and even rocks right to the last ridge. And you think you shouldn't be afraid to do it once. Don't complain to us when octopi take over the world. Number 11.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Right? That's what I'm talking about right there. Here goes that beetle.
Number 6. Bombardier acid bombs? Didn't think so. The bombardier beetle have a state-of-the-art defense mechanism that involves acid gas bombs. In extreme cases where their life is in danger, they can make chemical bombs with a dose so lethal it can be deadly. The two compounds of the bombs are stored separately in the abdomen. They can mix the compounds on command, which results in a boiling mixture that explodes out of the tip of their abdomen. Since the reaction is exothermic, the heat release is enough to boil the gas up. Is there even a superhero or a supervillain that can match this beetle's power? Comment down below if you know any.
Right, so let's go into the book of Isaiah 40. It's another scripture where it speaks about the sparkles out of their eyes. I believe it's. I'm gonna find it. 1 second. Maybe in the Apocrypha. All right, let's get it. This is Isaiah 40. And 1 second. This is Isaiah 40, verse here, 29. And it reads, He giveth power to the faint. It's like it. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. They shall walk and not faint, man. So the strength, Yahweh Shemashah is just gonna turn your spirit up to the point where you just become a force of nature, man. Right? A power, a power, a power, man. God's upon the earth, right? And we watch the movies like Brightburn and all these different movies, man. Because it gives forth a human element unto the powers that's like. It shows a different power that you can't just get out of regular cinema, right? It shows the impossible being done, right? It shows the level up, the increase in spirit, right? So being able to see it on screen, I enjoy it. And, shows like Avatar, so forth and so on. Brothers, check them out. I know every brother knows Dragon Ball Z. Hey, that's speaking about us too. So that was that in the book of Isaiah, 40th chapter. I have this in the book of Jeremiah 16. 1 second. Teeth. Matter of fact, let me see something. I read that sharp threshing instrument with teeth, but I want to make sure. Sure. Need some water. Making sure I grab the words from this scripture. I know it's one scripture here. I can't think of it at the moment, but it speaks about the power of being able to shoot like lasers out of your eyes. It is somewhere in there. I'll find it, Lord will, after, and put it on the comment board, or put it in the description, if it be the Lord's will. Matter of fact, archerfish, platypus, alpine eagle. This is Jeremiah 16. I'll start here at 14. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Right? Speaking of the past Exodus. But Yahweh Bashim Shai liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land, it's like that I gave unto their fathers. Behold, I will send for many fishers. Right? And when you take a look at our duty as a fisherman, right, we have the bait, which is the word, right? As the scripture gives forth the analogy of the dragnet, scooping both the lawful and unlawful fish, or the good and the bad fish, and casting the bad aside and heaping the good, right? Fishing is as a hobby, it's a sport, but it's typically, calm, right? It's not much action other than, the fish. And then once that hook is set, but it's peaceful, right? It's not a predatory, quote unquote, hobby, right? Because it's the fish attacking the bait. It says, behold, I will send for many fishers, and that art of fishing, it's quite docile in a sense, right? Serene. Saith the Lord, I will send for many fishers, saith Yahweh, and they shall fish them. And after, right, and this is the transformation once the power comes. And after will I send for many hunters, right? So you go from fishing to hunting, man, which both are allowing you to eat, but one is far more violent, man, because blood is shed for one of them. For fishing, it's usually catch and release unless you're trying to eat the fish. But for hunting, that you have to shed blood, right? And that's going to be the elect men. They're going to be in that power position in order to bring forth judgments, man. It says, and they shall hunt them from the mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. And we understand the elites are going to be in these dumbs, these bunkers, right? Deep underground military bunkers, right? Hiding themselves beneath the earth, the water, so forth and so on, man. But Yahweh Shema Shai is going to allow those worms to be on an elevated level where they have the power to be back in that first estate, man. So that was the point. They were given power. How much more the elect? These creatures have, different supernatural strengths or abilities, and the Lord gave them that purpose so they can, continue to navigate. So how much more is men, right? And that's the point. Not to go too much longer. Sorry, 35 minutes. But Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the body. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. And double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone. And a sincere shalom to you, Akim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.